Good evening, everyone. Pierluigi Oliverio. I'm a three-term elected San Jose City Council member serving for 10 years. I've taken thousands of votes and had to take multiple public stands on a variety of issues, and I have an incredible amount of experience. And I've also had the opportunity to have a voting record and a written record, as I just stated. But when you examine that, what you find is that I'm someone who's always been known as independent, an advocate of transparency, and fiscally pragmatic. And during my time on the San Jose City Council, I served with Mayor Chuck Reed, and together we focused the city on focusing on the city services that are the core rather than spending that was not part of what cities should be doing. We focused about getting each tax dollar, making it the most revenue to impact the residents of San Jose. We both opposed unrestricted tax increases, and we both supported pension reform. And I'm happy to say that Mayor Chuck Reed is supporting my campaign for County Supervisor, as well as former County Supervisor Dominic, Council members Johnny Camus, Council members Dave Davis, School Board Trustee Robert Barrich from the Moreland School District, which is in our Supervisor District. And so some good people that are fiscally pragmatic. And I've also been endorsed by organizations. The Silicon Valley organization, formerly known as the San Jose Silicon Valley Chamber of Commerce, I have their sole endorsement. They are the voice of business, but I also think they're the voice of good government and practicality and the taxpayer. And I'm also endorsed by the Silicon Valley Taxpayers Foundation. I don't think I could have more marquee endorsements from organizations or individuals that really state that I am the most fiscally responsible candidate running for county supervisor. With that said, there are other issues within the county, and I would focus primarily on caring for the severely mentally ill. The county is the only entity responsible for the mentally ill, and I think by focusing on that, we could reduce homelessness and free up law enforcement time to patrol our neighborhoods. Is there a timer? Great.
Hi, my name is Dominic. I'm a fifth-generation Santa Clara County resident, born just north of here at O'Connor Hospital. Went to school in Cambridge at St. Francis Cabrini, the Rose Garden at Bellarmine, and Santa Clara University. And I'm a 21-year veteran teacher at Santa Clara High School, Foothill, and Leanza College. In 1997, I got my teeth cut first in government by working by then our Congressman, Republican Tom Campbell. I'm honored to have his support in this race. And in 2002, I was elected to Santa Clara City Council, and I'm in my third term, my 12th year. What we have done is a reflection of what we will do. Guess what city has the lowest utility rates in any city in the entire state of California? Santa Clara. Guess what city has the best rated roads and infrastructure of all 15 cities in the county? Santa Clara. I balanced 12 budgets in a row on time and in many instances under budget. We actually built a football stadium that Oakland and San Francisco could not do. So I come from a city and have a record of my number one goal as an elected official is to be your fiduciary. To do it in a prudent manner, in a transparent manner, and fiscally responsible. I have a record of doing that. Along with Pierluigi, I have the endorsement of the Santa Clara Chamber of Commerce. He has the SVO, which is a business organization. I have the support of a lot of folks that I think share your ideology, including, as I said, Congressman Tom Campbell. I believe at the county, there's three major issues. As a teacher myself, we see this, the housing crisis. We need to look at free market principles of simple supply and demand. We have huge demand and we need more supply. I wrote an op-ed piece last week in the Mercury News about that. Hopefully you've read it. Second issue is public safety. I am proud to be endorsed by every local public safety officer that has relations with me in Santa Clara and also some outside of Santa Clara. And the third issue is simple issues, infrastructure. I come from a city that makes that the number one priority. And this budget cycle, we will put another $18 million in our rainy day fund. That's how I do things in Santa Clara. That's how I'll do it at the county level. Thank you for taking the time. Dominic Caserta.
Hi there, welcome to Campbell. My name is Jason Baker, and I was mayor of Campbell twice and on the city council for 8 years. I stand on my record of what we've done in Campbell in terms of the way the city is developed, the way it is. I think people like to come here and they realize it is a pretty well-run, safe city, and that's not by accident. That is because of years of councils trying really hard to balance our budget and to get us through the recession. I was vice mayor and then mayor when we were coming out of the recession, and we got through the recession without paying anybody else because we put money away when times were good into a rainy day fund. And that got us through the recession. And when we came out of the recession and started finding our way out, and I was mayor, we put more money back into police, we put money into parks and into pavement, the fundamental things that cities need to keep them running. You know, you heard an earlier panel talk about the average of about 1 officer per 1,000 is the kind of mark that people shoot for, and some cities around here aren't making that mark, but Campbell sure is. We've got more than an officer per 1,000, and Campbell officers will come and investigate your burglaries and take your fingerprints, and you'll feel like you're on CSI. And that's because we take good care of our police officers, and we make sure that we make sure that they're there. And this is important to me because I was a first responder. I worked as a firefighter, a forest firefighter, and I know what it's like to put your life on the line for the public good, to be out there. And I know that we need to pay them well and make sure they're taken care of, and that they've got enough folks, enough police officers on the streets, enough firefighters, so that we've got 2 on the engine and 2 out there to keep themselves safe. Those are the kinds of things, when you're a mayor of a city, you need to focus on. Because when you're mayor, there's no hiding. People know where your mayor is. They know what to complain about, the potholes and the shopping carts on the street. And you know, if you're in a bigger city, sometimes you have staff and you deal with it. You don't talk to the people. When you're Mayor Campbell, somebody complains about a shopping cart in the street, I go get my car, open up the back, put the shopping cart in the back of the car, and haul it back to the place where it came from. That's the kind of work to do when you're mayor of a city. But I've also worked regionally, and we'll talk more about it tonight.
Good evening. My name is Susan Ellenberg, and I'm running for Santa Clara County Supervisor to be a champion for all families and children. Because it's clear to me that when we invest in policies and programs that support families and children, the outcomes are better for all of us. We see safer communities, a better educated workforce, and a stronger economy. I'm coming to you with experience as an attorney, an educator, a school board member, a county commissioner, a professional woman in Silicon Valley, a wife, and a mother. I've been engaged in our community for more than 30 years, and when I think about the future, I am thinking at least 2 or 3 generations down the line. I'm here tonight to ask you to stand with me across party lines as women who know you to stand with me across party lines as women who know how to focus on the bottom line, how to get things done, work together on shared priorities while respecting each other's differences. I'm proud to already have the support of one of your honorary board members, Ms. Gloria Hom. We have so much in common, a desire to see families thrive, to see children succeed in school, to see young adults find jobs and begin to establish themselves, and to see seniors and veterans treated with care and with dignity. I read an article just a few days ago. It was written about the late Barbara Bush. It was a commentary by members of founders of an organization that cared for infants with HIV/AIDS at a time when that diagnosis was virtually a death sentence. Even the medical community in those early days didn't understand the infectious nature of AIDS and weren't sure what to do with these infants. First Lady Barbara Bush came sweeping in to this organization, and very publicly and unhesitatingly, she picked up an infant who was ill and clearly uncomfortable and cuddled and rocked him. And with that single, very natural move, she transformed the vision of the contagion of AIDS. Like Barbara Bush, I intend to be a change maker and stand up for families and children in our communities.
Hello, my name is Don Rocha. I'm a San Jose City Council member. I'm in my 7th year. Prior to that, I served on the Cambridge School Board. My passion for public services, gosh, a long road to get here. But what I'm most focused on is what I'm hearing from the residents in the times that I've served, and also as I'm walking on doors. There's great value in knocking on doors and talking to voters. There's 2 ways. One is you also get face time with voters, and that's very important to them. But the other is you learn about what their interests are. And for me, very simply put, the focus that I'm going to put on the County Board of Supervisors are with the folks I'm hearing from the door. One is housing affordability and homeless issues. The other is traffic, transportation, and growth. That one is a new one for me in terms of the growth issue. We've been pushing higher density a lot in San Jose and other communities. We've all been committed to it because of this housing situation we have. But there are some folks who have some grave concerns existing single-family residential areas that are being greatly impacted by this level of density. Third is public safety. That for me is always been a priority. I'm endorsed by the San Jose Police Officers Association, San Jose Firefighters Association, and I also am endorsed by the Santa Clara County Firefighters Association. Coming in fourth and fifth really is often education, and then also quality of life, parks, libraries, community centers. So as far as my interest on the board, I'm very committed to making sure the taxpayers are served with what they ask for. Thank you for your time.
So just hold on to that. And it's been reported that 101% of eligible voters in Santa Clara are registered to vote. I did say 101. How would you address this as a county supervisor?
It's a first in all the candidate forums that we've been in.
Well, have you ever been to a Republican one?
Touche. I think that is honestly one for our registrar of voters. I can't tell you why that is or how that happened. But if there is a particular issue and we expect voter fraud, or we haven't cleared out the voter rolls in quite some time, and that's a simple ask of that department. So I don't know what you're looking more for in that particular question. It's an interesting tidbit of information, but I'm happy to focus on that. I wouldn't say day one, but in terms of asking our registrar to look at that particular issue. Thank you for the interesting and good question.
I think it would be actually a tremendous blessing if 100% of the residents were actually registered to vote. In my look at the data as we work toward the June primary, we've kept very careful track of the number of registered voters and also the likely voter turnout in June, which is projected to only be about 35, maybe closer to 40% of the registered voters. If we have any issues with voting in this county, I think that it's not nearly enough people register to vote and then take advantage of both that opportunity and civic responsibility to vote. When I meet with voters at the doors and they'll mention that they're registered but they haven't voted the last 3 or 4 times, I do my very best to encourage them to explain that it really does make a difference to have a voice in your government, and if all of you can help us get the voting registration up to 100%, I think we will be in phenomenal shape here in Santa Clara County.
Yeah, I'm with Susan. My numbers say that it's not 101%. I certainly think that 100% voting would be great. I think the bigger problem that concerns me in the past of our voting system here and our registrar of voters has been kind of a series of issues with the registrar sending out the wrong ballot statements and the wrong ballot information, leaving candidates off. And I don't care what party you're from, that is a real problem in our democracy. If everybody's not getting the correct ballot in the correct time, and sometimes in the past they've corrected it by sending out a correction with one candidate's ballot statement. So then you basically get a free mailer for one candidate who got left off of the ballot. So I think that's the kind of problem I would focus on. I've worked for the Assembly, for our Assembly member, and we focused on that problem and worked with registrar to help get some of those problems out, because you figure it's not the main candidates who are getting left out of these ballots, it's some of the other folks.
Thank you again, Dominic. Sir, let me answer the question specifically. We live in Silicon Valley, and sometimes government does not leverage the resources of technology that makes this place such a desirous place. If there is voter fraud, we need to use technology and identify that and find people that are being fraudulent. Bottom line. The Board of Supervisors oversees the register of voters. It is ridiculous that it takes sometimes 1 month to determine who wins an election. We need to make voting easier but also more transparent. One thing I'm really proud of is, as you know, most of you vote absentee, I'm sure. No longer do you have to put that stamp there. And we had almost 86% voter turnout in the last presidential election, partly for that. So we need to look at other ways, like same-day registration, like they do in New Hampshire's of the world, for example. The top 2 primary, I think, is a reform that increases that. But to answer your question specifically, using technology to go after fraudulence.
Your registrar of voters needs to have a level of trust. If you don't feel good and secure, you won't trust the outcomes. I think ultimately, each county and every county needs to be responsible and perform audits or do whatever the standard procedures that may be recommended from other registrar of voters throughout the country. Ultimately, we want to make sure that only the truly qualified are registered to vote, and whatever that process is, a registrar and the personnel would do to do it, I support. Clearly, it's a department that's busy certain times of the year, but then there's a lot of downtime. And I think there's enough resources there to make sure that the promise of the validity of the voter can be done. But ultimately, I'll be candid, I've never done that work before, but I would be interested as a board member to see that gets done so that we have a full trust in the system.
Thank you. We've had several questions on illegal immigration. I want to focus this question more on the use of resources. It's come to our attention that county meetings, these cards have been passed out that say report ICE activity, that the county workers are supposed to pass out to their clients, and a way to avoid talking to immigration authorities. So from a fiscal standpoint, the question from the audience is, do you endorse spending the people's money to train county employees to instruct criminal illegal aliens on how to evade federal law?
As far as the border, do you want to go back or switch it up?
Start.
Okay. No, I don't support them providing resources to, could you repeat the last part of the question?
Yes.
For criminals?
Do you endorse spending the people's money to train county employees to instruct criminal illegal aliens how to evade federal law?
Instruct, the key here is instruct criminal illegal aliens on how to, no, I don't.
I think what the county government is doing is is training people to instruct anybody who is worried when someone knocks at their door what the legal procedure is, what they are obligated to do by law, and what they have the right not to do. I don't know that ICE is necessarily distinguishing or looking for somebody who has committed a crime or making more general raids, and certainly I don't support training anyone or spending any funds for the purpose of evading the law, but training people in order to be able to follow the law and know their rights, I think is a very important part of county responsibility.
Yeah, I support handing out those cards and spending the people's money to do it. I don't think that they ask whether someone's committed a crime or not. I think the fundamental issue here is informing people, even non-citizens, of their rights. And I think that's an important thing for the county to do.
Non-citizens have a right to
What's his name?
I'd like to hear that.
I think it's important that our county stand up for the rights even of non-citizens in our county.
As a vote?
We're going to continue, please.
So as a government teacher for 21 years, one of our 6 guiding principles is the rule of law, and another one is limited government. I believe the 5th Amendment has a right to property as penned in the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which is a lock-in.
October, and the title was Santa Clara County Policy Puts Residents at Risk. The current county policy, which shields illegal immigrants who commit violent crimes, defies common sense. When the federal government wishes to detain and potentially deport violent criminals, local government should not stand in the way. Rather than protecting violent criminals, we should focus on preventing heinous crimes such as the tragic murder of Martha Casillas, mother of 2, who was viciously stabbed by a foreign national that the county released that the federal government asked to detain. We should work with our federal counterparts in any way necessary to ensure the safety of our residents first and foremost. That was a 3-2 vote done by the county supervisors on the detainer policy when George Shirakawa was on the board of supervisors. If elected, I would vote the opposite way. And because the county board puts the policy that then the jail must obey, and if I believe for the record, both the district attorney and our sheriff were against that policy that the county voted for.
Thank you. And our next question for our panel, thank you all so much. Do you support using federal, county, and state infrastructure monies to build the high-speed rail?
How about I do this? I'll say yes if it's on time and on budget.
I guess that's a no. Pardon me for interjecting.
I think that we need to expand all forms of public transit. I think that the high-speed rail is probably one of the most expensive and currently least feasible. And there's so much work to be done in our county to enhance public transit. We need to be focusing on actually completing the BART loop, getting the BART stations open and the trains running down here, the electrification of Caltrain so that we can double the service between here and San Francisco. And high-speed rail, while it may do, in theory, while it may provide a great opportunity to really expand the commute distance and help to ease housing pressure here in Santa Clara County, I think it's still far enough off that I wouldn't consider it to be a funding priority right now.
Transportation is a lot of what I've done with my career. It's important to me because it matters to everybody. It matters to the environment and greenhouse gases. It matters to keeping us out of traffic. And I think that people, you may think you're annoyed at being in traffic. I think you should be more annoyed because that's time that you aren't with your family and you aren't at your jobs. When BART first got started, they said BART couldn't be done. And it is done. It is important, not only to our commuting and transportation, but to our economy. It's one of the things that helps our Bay Area do what it does, and it will continue to help that. I know that Caltrain has been on a rough road or a rough rail. It's got new leadership, or high-speed rail has been on a rough rail. Got new leadership recently, and I want to see what this new leadership, including Malcolm Doherty, who's now the lead of it, head of it, will do to try to get it back on budget and back to being a project that we can afford. Because I think it is important. I think we are a first world nation, and we should act like that, including in terms of our transportation infrastructure.
Appreciate the question. I said this last month in my city when we had an issue. This is a boondoggle. High-speed rail is a reason why trust in government is at an all-time low. We continually ask people to fund things and we self-tax ourselves. Starting with BART in 2000, we've had to do it 3 times since then. So I think this is a waste of taxpayer dollars. My uncle actually lives in Madera where literally there was no transparency, no public outreach, and the violation of the Fifth Amendment occurred to many residents in Madera. I support public transportation. I support electrification. I support bringing BART to Santa Clara eventually, right? But this idea of the high-speed rail is not a fiduciary responsible move. It was not done transparently. Let's keep it real. It's not going to happen. But we're spending money because of this.
I do not support spending county budget dollars on high-speed rail. But I also should let you know the county has no jurisdiction over the other mass forms of transit in our county. That's a Valley Transportation Organization. The county has a seat, meaning it's a couple seats on the board, but it doesn't control it. So if someone says, "Oh, I'm running for county supervisor, and I'm gonna do BART to San Jose and Caltran, and I'm gonna fix the freeways," they don't do that. The county only has county expressways, San Tomas, Lawrence, Capitol. That's all the county controls beyond the unincorporated areas of San Martin, Cambrian, and Burbank. The county does not control public transportation. That's VTA, which is a representative by a bunch of cities and some county. So just want to be clear on what the county actually does. It's a jail, a hospital, and social welfare programs.
Okay, can we thank you all for coming and for facing these Republicans. We have to vote for something.